Hi, I'm Claudia and I'm part of the PC family. And I'm here because PC Project has asked me to share with you some parenting strategies that could be useful for parents who are raising children with PC. Now, parenting is not an easy task per se. And when a child or a parent has a chronic health condition, it can make things even more challenging, right? Now, I believe that there is not one correct way of raising children that is right for every parent and every child. However, there are some strategies that could be helpful, and I would like to share them with you so that you, as parents, can decide which could work best for you and your family. The first strategy that I would like to discuss with you is guiding hobbies. So what I mean by this is that when we are parents, particularly of a younger child, we have a lot of influence in the kind of hobbies and extracurricular activities that they are involved in. And it's a good idea to guide our children towards participating in hobbies that they can enjoy without making their PC symptoms worse. And there are a lot of fun things to do that don't involve being on your feet. And there are even educational activities or sports activities, if you have a more active child, that you can do without being on your feet, such as swimming or water polo or cycling, okay? So this is a really good idea because we don't want them to sort of have to give up an interest that has become part of their life and part of their motivation because of PC symptoms later on. We also don't want to make their PC symptoms worse. The second strategy that I would like to share is to explain PC to them according to their age. It is a good idea to talk to children about their PC and to tell them what it is according to, their capability of understanding it. So in young children, you could even use a short story to explain what PC is. Make sure that whatever the story or the version you give them of PC, make sure that key family members are involved so that the child can hear the same version from all trusted family members. And it is worthwhile to take into consideration that even though it could be tempting to think, I'll just let it slide a little more, I'm going to postpone this conversation until my child is a little older, we are running the risk that if we don't give our child an explanation of what PC is, then sooner or later they will get one from someone else. And that someone else might not be properly informed or could even have a harmful intention. So it's best that the first explanation that they receive about their PC symptoms, about what PC represents in their body, comes from their own loving family. The third strategy I'd like to share is to talk to the teacher at the start of every school year. Once children start daycare or school, make a point to request a meeting with the teacher at the start of every school year. And then in that meeting, explain to the teacher what PC is. You can help yourself out by printing the PC pamphlet for schools that you can find on the PC Project website. And then you can help yourself during the meeting by looking at the photographs and discussing the symptoms with the teacher. You can even specify to the teacher which symptoms are the ones that are most present in your child. It's helpful also to give them a copy for their future reference, so leave them a copy. Okay, don't take it with you, give it to them so that they can look it up if they have any sort of questions in the future. And also give them additional copies for other key staff members at school, such as the school nurse or the physical education teacher. Remember to answer any questions that the teacher might have, and also emphasize that PC is not contagious. This will calm the teacher and it will help him or her to reassure other classmates and also other parents who might become concerned at some time or other. On this note, if your child has a play date with another child and they're going to be with parents who don't know your child, it's also a good idea to give them a short heads up, even if it's just a little text message saying, oh, by the way, my child has thick nails, for example, and it's a genetic issue, but it's not contagious, so please don't worry about it. That way, we'll avoid sort of, raising concerns where there shouldn't be. Okay? Empowering children by teaching technical vocabulary is a great strategy. And children, even really young children, as young as 3 or 4, can start learning the technical terms that describe their PC symptoms. So, for example, pachyonychia for their thick nails, or blisters, or even hyperkeratosis follicularis. Okay? Now, I'd like you to imagine a situation in which a classmate approaches a 5-year-old child with PC and asks them about their nails. If our child says, sort of confidently, oh, this type of nails is called pachyonychia, it's okay. The classmate is going to think, whoa, this kid is smart because I can't even repeat that word he said. Okay? And at the same time, we will generate in that classmate the feeling that our child has everything under control and there's nothing to worry about. Even in older children, this has a nice effect because it gives them a sort of scientific standing. It's not, I have weird nails, it's this type of nail is called pachyonychia, right? I know what it is. Science knows what it is. And that's all there is to it. So it gives our child the power to explain something that becomes part of our day-to-day, but that isn't part of the day-to-day of other people in other families. So it's very important that they have this sort of scientific standing to back them up. This is another strategy that could be very helpful if done correctly. So encouraging your child to explain PC to their classmates at the start of the school year is a really helpful tool if your child is up to it. I wouldn't force them to do it, but if you can work with your child beforehand and prepare this really well so that they can do it confidently, it's a very powerful tool. Okay? So the idea is that you can rehearse this thoroughly with your child at home before they do it. And the explanation that they give to their classmates at the start of the school year could be really brief. I mean, even just a few short sentences for younger children. Okay? One of the most important aspects is attitude. The attitude with which they give this explanation to their peers is going to be really important. So we want them to be able to speak in a confident tone. We want them to be able to engage eye contact. Okay? That's what we want. Because if they go, I have Pachyonychia Congenita, and they hide their nails and they sort of, look like they're about to cry or are very nervous, it's going to put them in a more sort of vulnerable position. Whereas if they say, hey, look, my nails are thick, it's called pachyonychia, and sometimes I have blisters on my feet, and I might not be able to run with you as much as I would like, but it's okay because it's not contagious. If they can pull it off, their classmates will understand, right? And that confident attitude will calm the classmates down and will also calm down the classmates' imaginations. Because even if in a few months one little classmate forgets the explanation, if they say something to their peers, hey, they have such weird nails, and then the other classmate will say, oh, remember, they explained that to us, don't worry about it. And that's the effect we want. We want to sort of work on this theme before we start having problems with the classmates. Now, I'm not going to say that this is not going to make your child uncomfortable for a few minutes. It is likely that your child will be a little uncomfortable for a few minutes. Any of us would be uncomfortable for a few minutes explaining this. Okay. But the way to look at it is, if your child agrees with, explaining to their classmates, the way to look at it is either you can spend a few minutes at the beginning of the school year and just explain what's going on and be done with it. Or if you have a class with 25 students in it, you can spend the rest of the school year explaining 24 different times all of these things that we've said. And you might even just have to answer to rumors at that point. We don't want that. We want to sort of, strike beforehand. We want to be ready, okay? And then this way, even though there is a stress, a moment of stress at the beginning of the school year, we're going to reduce repeated stressors, throughout the school year. So this could be a very, very powerful tool. This could be a really fun strategy. Role-playing is that it's a game. We can make a game out of it and make it fun for the family, okay? Why is this important? Role-playing is important because it's normal for other children to ask about PC symptoms, just out of curiosity, not even with any sort of harmful intention, but just out of plain curiosity. So even though there are times that it's possible that someone could make a hurtful remark, we want our children to be prepared to answer any questions or any sort of comments, right, by role-playing with them at home. If they're prepared, they will have quick answers on hand, okay? And they don't have to think on the spot, which often leads to feeling sort of overwhelmed and anxious. We don't want that. We want them to be able to just answer naturally, okay, and confidently, and feel that they're okay. So what I would suggest is that role-playing becomes a sort of game, particularly with younger children. And feel free to engage other siblings in the role-playing, okay? And remember to switch roles around. So you might say, for example, first you ask them a question about their nails, then they can ask you a question, and it could be about your nails or your feet or your clothes or the color I've dyed my hair, okay? It could be anything. You can also bring sort of day-to-day situations that you can even make up, right? And you can say, hey, somebody at work told me that they didn't like the color of my nails. What do you think? Should I feel sad about that? This kind of thing. So we can sort of start working on things, even if they haven't happened yet. But we want our children to feel secure when that happens to them, okay? So if we role play at home, they will be more prepared. Now, the type of answers that we prepare should tend to be more educational or neutral in tone. And this has two explanations. The first is that, if someone isn't really trying to be hurtful, then there's no need for us to be defensive. We can just answer neutrally or educationally, and that's fine, okay? Now, supposing that other person really does want to hurt us with a remark, if they get the reaction they want, they're going to be more likely to do it again, okay? If they see that they've hurt us, they will have succeeded, so to speak. So what we want is to look like we're having a neutral response, even if it hurts on the inside, okay? But we want outwards to look like we're having a neutral response, so they won't try to provoke us again in the same way. So we can role play at home with our child to be prepared and to know what to answer if they should need it, okay? So for example, I could say, or my child could say to me, hey, I don't like that color of nail polish that you've chosen. I could say, well, you don't have to like everybody's nails. Don't worry about it. Just calmly, with a neutral tone. Find out what benefits or assistance your children are entitled to in your area. This is important even if at this point you don't need them or you don't feel that your child needs them. Just because if you're aware of their existence, you'll be able to identify the right time to use them if it ever comes to that. And get help for yourself if you need it. This is really important. Like when you get on an airplane and you've boarded and you're about to take off and they explain to you that if you need to use the oxygen masks, the adults traveling with children have to put their oxygen masks on first. so that then they'll be able to put the oxygen masks on their children. Well, here it's more or less the same thing. So we have to be okay if we want to be effective parents. So if at any time you feel like you could use help for yourself, don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't hesitate, because this is something that will be good for you, but also for your children if there's any time you feel like you really need it. The last strategy I'd like to mention is strength in numbers. Being part of a group such as PC Project is a great resource for sharing with other families, for sharing with experts, and for our children to meet other children with PC. It's always nice to know that you're not alone in the world, or that you're not the only one who looks the way you do, particularly with children who are growing up and who start to compare, with their classmates, or teenagers who are very self-conscious about their body. This is a great tool to be able to meet somebody else or speak to somebody else who lives the same sort of situation. Finally, I hope that you found this video useful, and I'd like to take the opportunity to wish you and your families all the best.